Thank you, and welcome back to the Patriots 300 level podcast. My name is Eric, and I'm joined by my co-host Kevin. Welcome back for our 88th episode this week, where we'll be recapping the Patriots 2025 NFL Draft. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter/X at Pat's 300 level pod for up-to-the-minute updates and commentary on news of the day. So, Kevin, second straight year Patriots have a top five pick. Last year's draft was supposed to be very top heavy. This year, outside of the top two picks or two of the top players in the draft, seem to be blue chip players, the talent seemed to fall off, and that's why there was a lot of debate. What should the Patriots do at number four? Obviously, left tackle was their biggest need going into the last however many off seasons, at least the last two, and that's where they ended up going with Will Campbell. But there were some question marks surrounding him. Was he the best player to take? Were they reaching for need instead of taking the best available? What are your thoughts on the Will Campbell selection and just if the Patriots made the correct decision there or not?
Um, the way I saw it is I wasn't in love with Will Campbell. I don't hate it, the pick. I also don't love it either. I'm kind of meh, where I feel like at worst he's gonna be a really good guard. And I don't think he's going to be a terrible left tackle. I think what you'll see is you'll have the same type of maybe situation as Joe Tooney, where he has similar arm length, where he could be a decent left tackle, but he'll be exposed when his arm length kind of gets in the way when there's a really good edge rusher there. And that's not something that they can't scheme around. And having Josh here is much better than having Van Pelt like last year, where he would have
Yep.
not given any help to the left tackle spot. Whereas Josh knows where to put the players in the right position. So I think this does is it gives you at least someone to start at left tackle that's going to be an upgrade, I would think, from last year. I don't think he's going to be
I
terrible.
hope he's an upgrade.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be awful.
Yeah.
I think at worst he's going to be maybe a top 15, top 20 left tackle. Is
Yeah.
that what you want from a four overall spot? Not really, but
Yeah.
beggars really can't be choosers where you really need to do something at that left tackle spot. So I don't hate it. I'm not
Yep.
in love with it, but I also don't hate it. I would have probably preferred going and getting a pure known talent guy there. So either I did more like the tight end. He actually ended up dropping to what, 10, I think.
He fell to 15, Tyler Warren.
Yeah. And the other one would be Genti, the running back. Um, can you really be drafting a running back that high when you don't have a left tackle? I don't know, because you look at the Giants a few years ago,
Yep.
when they had Barkley and they couldn't really do anything with Barkley, and Barkley couldn't really do anything until he put up numbers, but he didn't
Yeah.
help them win like he helped the Eagles did. So I at the end of the day, I don't hate it. I'm just meh.
No, no, I agree completely. And again, it's the tale of 2 years where if you're number four last year, and if number four with last year's draft class, again, you got Drake May last year, but you saw Joe Alt fall to number five.
Mhm.
And I want to say fall, but he was the number five pick in the draft. And if he was in this year's draft, he's probably going number one, where he's at least on paper, a potential Hall of Fame caliber talent. Not saying
Mhm.
he's going to end up being a Hall of Fame player, but that talent that he has, his college production, is what you would assume would translate to the NFL. Whereas Campbell, he has some question marks. He has the short arms. His tape had some inconsistencies. So again, like you, I don't love it. It's probably a reach for number four. Again, in this draft class where there's not after one and two of Hunter and Carter, it kind of falls off. So everyone's kind of in that next group other than Jonte. And like you said, do you want to pick a running back at four? That's who I still would have gone with just because I still think Gianti's in the that top three blue chip caliber player with Carter and Hunter. But it also is you have Stevenson on the roster. If you don't have a left tackle, can you, if you take a talent like that, are they going to be able to produce? Maybe, maybe not. And then you still have holes at left tackle the track record of tackles being taken in the second round to be left tackles is not great. Yes, you lucked out with Matt Light back in 2001, who was drafted, I believe, 48 overall in the second round. But other than that, like that's the outlier. Typically, if you're going to have a franchise left tackle, they're going to be taken in the first round and they're going to be taken in the top 15 picks. So again, I don't hate it. I'm not as confident that he's going to pan out. And again, if he turns out to be a great left guard, say Logan Mankins caliber, again, that's still high hopes because Logan Mankins, in my opinion, should be an NFL Hall of Famer. But if he is a 10-year left tackle or 10-year left guard, that's still good production and is better than completely whiffing on a guy. If say you draft a wide receiver or a running back and they suck, you can't move them to another position. So you at least get some production, but having the number four or pick, I wish we got someone I was more confident in is that guy.
Yep. And the thing you said though too is there wasn't really any of those guys out
Yeah.
there really, and this was a really kind of weak top end of the draft. So I think in other years it would probably be better. Although one thing that's kind of going on in the future years is you're just going to see less talent coming out each year because of the NIL
Yep.
and some players either wanting to get paid more with the NIL, or maybe kind of pick and choose their spot where
Hmm.
they know if they wait one more year, they may not go to like the Browns, although the Browns
Yeah.
are usually picky in the top. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Second round pick, number 38 overall. They picked running back Trevion Henderson from Ohio State. He's supposed to be a really kind of game breaker running back where he's that type of running back they haven't had in a while. So like the James White, the pass catching, shifty, explosive running back. Not the type of like Stevenson or downhill runner. And it should be really interesting to see how he's used this year. He's probably going to start as just like a um, third down running back. But it'll be interesting to see how his snaps kind of go throughout the year. Does he end up increasing any snaps? How does he look? And then what happens with are they going to use Gibson and Stevenson like every other series and Henderson be the third down running back, or is he going to be splitting carries with Gibson? It's be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think one of the most underrated aspects of Henderson is his ability to be a blocker, which
Hmm.
is something that I know the Colts GM Chris Ballard said, and several other scouts said is he's the best blocking running back they've seen coming into the draft or coming out of the draft. And for offense, especially offense with Josh McDaniels, that's something that you're going to need with Vrabel mentality, just team in general. That's something that you'd want. So having, especially with a shaky offensive line, sure, Will Campbell helps, but that's something where they can pick up someone that gets by as well. So I think that's something that really stood out to this coaching staff that they wanted. And then another thing too is I think he had 340, but his game tape is faster than what his uh, numbers are in the combine. So he's faster with pads on compared to other players that run very well, like a Tyquan Thornton who runs a
Hmm.
4.2, but is can't run a route.
Yep.
Whereas he's someone that when he catches the ball, he can break it for 75 yards for a touchdown, which he's done several times at Ohio State. And he can also be a good running back as well. So again, for a James White type of player, he probably has more talent than James White, just
Hmm.
overall scheme, his blocking, his playmaking, his smoothness, change of direction. But is that what you want it with a second round pick? Maybe, maybe not. But again, this team needs playmakers, and you're adding one that potentially you need on this team.
Yeah, and another big thing, just with the blitz pickup and the pass blocking, that's usually something why you see a lot of running backs in the Patriots system sit for a year,
Yep.
because that's something they don't come out of school with. So by having him come out, that makes you know that he likely will get some reps because of that.
Yep.
All right. The third round pick, number 69, Kyle Williams from Washington State. This is supposed to be a another type of explosive player where he's fast, he's shifty. He had, I think, the 440 in his 40-yard dash, but he's supposed to be one of those kind of quick runners that they're looking for, and hopefully something that they haven't had in a while that they'll have. So right now, really the only quick wide receiver you have is Diggs. Um, Other than that, you have Pop Douglas, but Pop Douglas isn't like a straight line runner. He's the
Yeah,
shifty, quick guy. They don't have someone. Well, Baker they do, but Baker's
yeah,
Baker's Baker. You don't know if
yeah.
he's going to be on the team next year. So,
He probably
um,
won't.
so it'll be interesting to see how he does. I am not yet to give him the Kevin Kiss of death yet, but we'll see which
Oh,
pick.
you will in training camp probably,
I
but
probably will. I'll probably be amazed by some flashy like route running that he has, and he'll be the next Baker, Bethel Johnson, Tyquan Thornton
yeah.
guy that I have.
Yeah, so I really like the pick. He was productive in college, very shifty. He adds a type of receiver that this team has been lacking for several years. The the one thing that does concern me is just PTSD of all Patriots wide receivers pretty much taken the
Mhm.
last 20 years or so. Where I know a lot of Patriots fans have fallen in love with him after seeing some of the draft clips or some of his college highlights after the draft.
Yeah, he ended up
And
dusting Travis Hunter too on one pass play. So people were like, oh,
yeah,
if he could run by Hunter, like what is he going to be with everyone else? But again,
yeah,
that's one
exactly.
play. But
And that's the thing is he might end up being a really good receiver, and I have hopes that he can be productive. But we've seen so many come in a McDaniel style offense and struggle at least in year one. Again, it's tough to know, is it McDaniel's offense or is it Tom Brady not trusting rookie wide receivers, because we haven't seen a Josh McDaniels offense in New England without Tom Brady to really truly know.
Mac Jones.
Oh yeah, Mac Jones. Yeah, that's true. But we didn't have any
With Mac
rookie wide
Jones, they
receivers.
really had, yeah, and then with Mac, they really had the training wheels on him too. So,
Yeah,
um,
but we haven't seen Josh McDaniels offense with a rookie wide receiver
mhm.
outside of that. But I have hopes, but also I want to push the brakes a little bit just because he went in the third round, likely for a reason. If he's as good as a lot of Patriots fans on Twitter and everything is making him out to be, he probably would have gone round one. So he might catch up to speed year two, year three. But I'm not ready to say he's going to be a number one, number two in this offense, especially with Diggs likely, if I had to guess, is probably going to start the season on pup, uh, just because of his injury. He might not, how his training
Based
is
off of
going.
some of the videos out there, I haven't seen a wide receiver coming off an ACL do that type of cutting
I
um,
haven't either, but
that
if I
early.
had to guess right now in May, I'm assuming they're gonna be slow with him because they're
Mhm.
gonna need wide,
They need
like
him
they don't want to
towards the
rush
end of
him
the year.
back.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see in a month or two when training camp actually starts and what he's like, but that's just my guess.
Yeah.
But if we don't have Diggs, again, it's not that tough to be the best receiver in a group of Pop Douglas, Booty, Bourne, Polk, and Baker. But again, some of those players have actually produced in the NFL
Mhm.
and they played with Drake May, so we'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
I,
One
I'm
one other
I'm
thing too
cautiously optimistic.
on Williams is just his a little bit smaller for a wide receiver too, for one of those vertical
Yeah,
wide receiver. He's 5'10", 190. He's not one of those like Jamar Chase
yeah.
type of wide receivers, Higgins, that sort of thing, where they're big guys that can also blow by you. All right, third round. Number 95, they picked center slash guard Jared Wilson, Georgia. He was supposed to be the best center in the draft. It's
Yep.
also not surprising they ended up picking him. And I think it's someone that Dan Kelly had thought they would pick even earlier than they did.
Yeah, he
Um,
he had him going, I believe, at either 69 when they took Kyle Williams or at 77 when they were on the clock before they
mhm.
traded.
So not surprising, especially after the release of David Andrews. I think
Yep.
he'll definitely compete um, for the center position. I think he'll also compete at guard, to depending on what the competition really looks like. They
Yep.
may try and have him play guard first, just because center is a really kind of difficult position in the NFL. Although David Andrews played as a rookie, I believe, right?
David Andrews played as a rookie.
And
Brian
Brian
Stork played
Stork
as a
played as a
rookie.
rookie.
Dan Copen played as a rookie.
Hmm.
So the Patriots, again, with Dante Scarnecchia and Bill, have a track record of rookies starting. But again, even though Josh McDaniels was here for some of those, it's different than
Yeah.
with having those two guys.
So it'll be interesting to see where he actually plays this year. Another player that had a really high RAS score. I know we've talked about this score a lot in the past drafts. Didn't really do it that much this one just because we don't really think that Matt Groh is in charge anymore. So
Yeah.
um, we don't have to think that every single person's going to have a really high RAS score like they did under him.
Yeah.
But again, this guy 9.84. Really high relative athletic score for him. And then just another Georgia player that they have at center, like Dave Andrews was a Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with everything you said. And I know there were some scouts that had him as a first round talent, but just because he's a center and teams don't really value centers as much as they do as guards and tackles. That's why he might have gone as low as he did. I think he has definitely a shot at starting, especially with the concerns that Bradbury, even though he's been durable with Minnesota, his play definitely did dip last year and he was cut for a reason. So I think he'll have a shot there. He might also have a shot at guard. I'm still cautiously hoping Cole Strange can stay healthy because when he's stayed healthy, he in 2023, his last season playing at guard, his last 8 games, he was a top five guard in the NFL before he got hurt. So again, I know Cole Strange, him staying healthy is a big, big, big if. But and then City So in 2023 also played very well too.
Yeah.
So they have some guys that have shown it somewhat recently to have the talent, and then having Josh McDaniels at the offense at the helm, I trust him to make the right decision with the offensive lineman construction. But
Yep,
we'll
agreed.
see.
Yep, I was gonna say he's probably more needed at center, like you were
Yeah,
mentioning, just because they have Strange, they have So. I do think we're gonna see a bounce back here from So because it's a different scheme and he's not running that. So is a bigger guard, and he's kind of similar to like the Oweno build,
yeah,
and that fits more in the McDaniel scheme and the run blocking that they do there instead of the West Coast where it's more mobile and you got to be shifty from left to right, and it's
yeah.
not really something that he's strong at. And if they do more of the kind of power duo run schemes and then this kind of straight ahead, I think you'll see a little bit better from him this year. All right, fourth round, number 106, safety Craig Woodson from California. Do you
Yep.
want to talk about
Yeah, he's
him?
someone that I still don't know enough about. I hadn't seen him too much in college, but he's supposed to be a very good player. I believe he was a 3-year starter, if I'm not mistaken. But played in the box. He played safety. He's played corner as well. So he's very versatile on the defense. So it seems like a typical. If Bill was here, would have seemed like a typical Bill selection. And we know Vrabel has played under Bill's defense both in New England and then when he was in Houston before he became the defensive coordinator. Romeo Cornell was his defensive coordinator. So a lot of his coaching and playing has been under a Bill style defense, even though it's not exactly the same now. So not too surprising. It is interesting to see where he'll play considering the safety group that they have with Duggar and Peppers. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and one thing that they've really needed the last year, maybe 2 years now, ever since McCourty retired, is they don't have that center field safety
Yep.
anymore. Any of that deep single high safety. They have a lot of box safeties like Peppers and Duggar,
Yep.
and that's something that Woodson potentially could fit the mold. He's played that position in college. He's got good speed. He run about a 4.45, and is supposedly pretty adequate in the open field. Abilities. The one thing with him, like you said, I think he's the only kind of pick that they had that wasn't a consensus pick where he was rated a lot lower than what they drafted him at. And again, you're going to get that in drafts. You're not going to have everyone that fits the mold, but I think this is like the first and only guy that didn't really fit what people were projecting.
Yep. No, I completely agree.
All right, another fourth round pick, 137 overall, defensive lineman Joshua Farmer, Florida State. Talk about him.
Yeah, so he was someone that a lot of people are saying is one of the steals of the draft where he was supposed to go much higher. Again, I always question or put a little pause on like draft grades just because if he's not picked as high as people are expecting, there's probably a reason why, and scouts know and teams know. But there are people that do fall where you wonder why did they fall and they end up being great players. Like Christian Barmore was supposed to be a first round pick, and then he fell to the second round. And then same with Keon White, etc. But he's a great addition, great defensive lineman, can play the interior. Defensive line can play a little bit on the outside, and you're seeing. I feel with a pick like with Farmer, you're seeing the Mike Vrabel just focusing in on the trenches, where if you want to win, you have to win in the trenches, and that's also what you've seen in recent Super Bowls. The Bucks won because they were able to beat up the Chiefs' offensive line and get to Mahomes. The Eagles won this past year because they destroyed the Chiefs' offensive line, and then by investing in Milton Williams this offseason, getting Harold Landry, and now getting Farmer as well, along with it seems like we're getting Barmore back, having Keon White, uh, having people that can rotate in and out on the defensive line and wreak havoc is something that they're hoping to be able to do. And this Farmer pick just seems like the perfect guy to do it, especially since defensive tackle, defensive line wasn't a need outside of edge rusher. But so not using your first three, four picks, considering you're investing 50 million a year on Barmore and Williams, but being able to get him a potentially very good player with a fourth round pick should help.
Yeah, I could actually say that actually defensive tackle, I would have said they did need a little bit more depth, especially because Barmore, you didn't know what was going to happen with him. Again, he's supposedly medically cleared, so he's going to be coming back. But I did think that it was good to be picking another defensive tackle just because you
Oh,
need a little bit of
I
depth
agree.
there.
I just for the team and the needs of the team, I didn't think it was needing a top three pick.
Yeah,
So being able to get him in the fourth round where it's more you can shoot or take guys that are more question marks or high ceiling type guys that might have fallen. But top
yeah.
three picks are more you're hoping to get people that'll make an impact uh, day one or at least make some contributions season one.
Yep. All right. Next pick, fifth round, 146 overall edge, Braden Swinson from LSU. This guy is another one that was supposed to be a kind of another like I hate saying steal just because
Yeah,
like
I
we're in
agree.
the fifth round,
Yep.
and usually from fifth round up, you don't really get that many playmakers. Like, you get some, but I don't want to be making it seem like we're getting like first overall talent here.
Yeah.
But with him, he's supposed to be someone kind of more like the Josh Uche, where he's really quick, is a really good pass rusher. I think similar to Uche, I think his inconsistency against the run hurts him. But again, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be a good value player where you pick your spot to a player. Where Uche was good when they put him in only passing situations. If you put him in situations where there was a run, that's when he was exposed. So if they use him where they know he plays well, I think that'll be good for him. And then if he learns how to kind of stiffen up against the run, that could only make him better.
Exactly. And edge rush is a position that they needed going into the offseason. They did address it with getting Harold Landry in free agency, but you can never have enough pass rushers, especially on the edge. And by having someone that, again, even though he might be a little deficient in the run, which is why he fell, getting someone in the fifth round that is just situational, at least for the first couple of years on passing situations, and then maybe during the week or during the off season, he can develop into someone that can play all three downs. But I like the pick. He was supposed to be a lot of draft analysts had him as a top 100 player on their board, and he fell all the way to the fifth round. Again, how much do these analysts really know? But it's at least on paper, it seems like a good selection.
At sixth round, 182 overall kicker, Andres Bor Borajalis. I probably butcher that pronunciation. Sorry there. Miami kicker. He was supposed to be the best kicker in the draft. They picked the best kicker in the draft. They needed to get a kicker. The only kicker
Yeah.
they have on the team, I think, was what a I've never even heard of him before. Was he an undrafted free agent they just signed? like before from last year.
I'd have to look at the roster. I don't remember offhand.
I honestly don't even know his name. He's not going to make the team. This guy is.
Yeah.
You don't go drafting a kicker to cut him. The one concern I do
Except Justin
have,
Rowers or
yeah, he was so bad where he had to. But my one concern with Andres is that he kicked down Miami, and is that going to translate to New England? We'll see. I honestly don't know that much about kicking, so I'm not.
yeah.
I don't think really anyone does to really be the analyst there for that. But consensus number one kicker in the draft. You had a need for it. You drafted him.
Yep. No,
Set.
completely agree. Not much more to say there. Just you need a kicker, and he was the best on the draft, so you go with him. We'll see if he actually translates. Kickers are a lot of times hit or miss. Even if they are the top in the draft, they don't
Yeah,
always pan out. So we'll have to wait and see.
yeah. Even look at Chad Ryland. He
Yeah.
was very poor his first year. He was the I think number two kicker overall that
He
was
was a fourth
drafted.
rounder.
Yeah. Well, I mean number two. Like there was the
Yeah, yeah,
Michigan
yeah.
kicker, and then it was
Yeah.
him. Um, and then it wasn't good. It does take kickers usually a couple of years sometimes to really
Yeah.
get it. And then you look at him last year. Again, wasn't spectacular, but had a lot of clutch game-winning kicks for Arizona. So, um, he didn't have an insane percentage make, but it was much better than it was his rookie year, and he did
Yep.
improve.
Yep.
Seventh round
And
pick.
just what I was saying with the fourth round though is Andres, he's the best kicker in the draft, but he went in the sixth round, whereas Chad Ryland, again, some people don't always like Bill's selections and everything, but he was the second kicker in the draft and went in the fourth round. So it's tough to really know if he's going to pan out. But again, you also see kickers go undrafted and work out very
Mhm.
well, at least on field. Uh, Justin Tucker, uh, again, he was undrafted, but just saying.
Yep. All right, seventh round, 220 overall, offensive tackle Marcus Bryant, Missouri. So this guy was on the same team as Armand Membu, the one of the higher pick tackles in the draft. He played right tackle
Yeah.
for
He
Missouri,
went number seven to
whereas
the Jets.
yeah, whereas Marcus Bryant played left tackle there. Um, a lot bigger than what we have with Will Campbell. Again, I don't think he's going to be really fighting for the starting tackle position this year, but 6'7", 320, 34 and 5/8 inch arms. Really just big guy.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. He's got a lot of raw talent. He needs to kind of be refined. So it'll be interesting to see. They do have, I think they have two offensive line coaches this year. Um, and I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I'm pretty sure, or
They
they
probably
have,
have an offensive line coach and an assistant, which
yeah,
is
or they have
typical
two
on most
assistant.
staffs.
They have more than what they previously had recently, though. Which I'll actually start looking up if you want to talk anything more about Marcus Bryant.
And again, when you're getting late in the draft, a lot of times these players aren't going to be making the team anyway, so you might want to take a swing and see if you hit something. If he's playing left tackle for a reason instead of Armand Membu, maybe he has the talent that you can refine and turn him into something. Again, he might not. He might not make the opening day roster. He might get cut, never play in the NFL. But at this point, he has the measurables and he has the talent to play left tackle ahead of a guy that went seventh overall. So I think it's worth a shot to at least see what you got in him.
Yep. Two assistant offensive line coaches, which is more than what they usually carry, one assistant offensive
Yep.
line and one offensive line coach. So by having those two guys there, it may help with kind of divvying up. Maybe one of the guys take some um, guys that are raw and then work with them throughout the year and go with that. So we'll see how that
Yep.
goes. All right. And I lost my spot. If you want to take the next one.
Yeah, so the next one, I hated this pick. Uh, seventh round, 251st overall, long snapper Julian Ashby from Vanderbilt. The reason I hate this is because, as you guys probably know, I'm a huge Joe Cardona fan. I have a Joe Cardona jersey. My luck with jerseys, when I buy one, they end up either getting cut or change their number or traded. So that's my luck. That's my Ebor's kiss of death. But I really like Joe Cardona. He seemed like he's always been the perfect Patriot, and I thought Vrabel would have wanted to keep someone in the locker room to help build a culture that he wanted. Same with Andrews too. but he's one that was really sad to see them replace. But again, if you're gonna, again, I have no idea what the decline is for long snappers. If there's a certain age, like how you spot that. Cardona's played 10 years in the league as 33. Do you start to see decline in long snappers at age 33, 34? I have no idea. I don't know if anyone really knows. But
Bill
again,
probably does, but
yeah, Bill
he's
probably
like the only
does.
one.
So if you did want to move on from him, it makes sense to find a guy because long snapping can actually be an issue that can bite you in the ass if you don't have someone that's trustworthy. So at least get a guy that you want. But
Yep. All right. Last pick in the draft was seventh round, 257 overall DB Kobe Minor, Memphis. Um, he was Mr. Irrelevant that they ended up trading with the Chiefs to get. He's 5'11", 182. Primarily played outside last season. This late in the draft, I don't really think there's really much to go over with him,
yeah,
unless you have anything. But he probably will not
not
either will
not
not make the
really.
team or will be
Yeah.
a practice squad or a special teamer this
Yeah.
year. So
So
and then
before we get to undrafted free agents, is what was your overall thought on the draft as a whole, and are there any positions that you felt they should have addressed but did not?
I say B plus B plus somewhere around
Yeah,
there. Again, I'm not ecstatic with Camo, but I also understand it and get it. And then the other one with Trayvon Henderson, who I think we both wanted. Barden, I think is his name, right? Uh,
Luther Burden.
Burden, the wide receiver, who's really shifty and was high up in the second round, which they passed on for him. But other than that, there's not really much that I like fully disagree with. And I don't think they did anything that I don't think they missed getting anyone.
There's one that I disagree with, and you can correct me if you disagree, but I think they should have addressed getting a backup quarterback in the draft. Where yes, they have I'm blanking on the ball guy. Is it
The alien
Dobbs?
guy,
Yeah, yeah. Dobbs.
Dobbs, I
Do-
think. Yeah, here's a D.
Yeah.
Joshua
S-
Dobbs, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just correct me. I should know this. You should know it. Just correct me if it's not Josh Dobbs.
I don't know why we both think yeah, it is Josh Dobbs. Okay, I
Okay,
was
yeah, yeah.
thinking there's
So
also a wide receiver that has a similar name too.
yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, as we've seen in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win. And yes, I know there was Milton Mania last year where a lot of people fell in love with Joe Milton, just like they did with Bailey Zappi, just like they did with Jimmy Garoppolo, Rohan Davey. Some of them work out, some of them don't. But you have to have a good backup quarterback, A, because Drake may regress year two. We saw it with Mac Jones. Do I think Drake May is Mac Jones? No, I don't. I think he has way more talent.
I
But
also
we
think his
have,
head on him is way better than Mac,
yeah,
where nothing
no,
seems to
I
phase him.
agree, but
I
it
don't
could
know how
happen.
much is going on up there because of that. Like sometimes it
Yeah,
just seems like that Gronk type of attitude where again the football's smart, but like everything else is like sunshine and lollipops all day long. So
yeah.
that
No,
actually
I agree, but
I think that
also,
will
so
help him.
yeah, but there's also, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago where I think 18 or 19 quarterbacks got injured. Starting quarterbacks in the NFL got injured and didn't miss some time. So you have to have a guy you trust. And again, a guy, backup quarterback drafted year one may or may not be productive for you that year, but say year two, three, four,
Hmm.
like when Tom Brady went down and then Matt Castle came in year four of his rookie deal and then won you 11 games or 10 games, whatever, however you want to look at it. So I think that's a missed opportunity, especially with Josh Dobbs. I like that they added a veteran quarterback. I think they needed one, but I would have liked someone that if Drake May, God forbid, ever gets hurt, you feel more comfortable. And then someone that I would have liked is Quinn Ewers, who ended up going to Miami. Again, you could argue which quarterback to go with. I would have gone with him just because once you get into rounds 5 to 7, you don't know if they're going to pan out, make the team. He was the highest rated quarterback ever out of high school going into college when he signed with Texas. He has the potential. Didn't pan out at Texas to what his he was projected to, but still had a productive career. Went to the semifinals back-to-back years. Uh, Showed to be productive. Again, he had very good wide receivers at Texas, which helped him. But at worst, in my opinion, he's a more talented Brian Hoyer. Brian
Mhm.
Hoyer has won games in the NFL. I would have liked someone like that, or if there's another quarterback that you like more, just to give you some depth on this team. But outside of that, again, didn't love the Campbell trade, but I understand it, or Campbell signing, but I understand it. But that was the one thing for me that I thought they needed to get a rookie quarterback. They did get an undrafted free agent, but I wish they got someone that has a higher likelihood of being successful, at least as a
The
backup.
one thing I disagree with the quarterback is I would go for someone that has. I don't really care what their floor is. So I'm not looking for a high floor quarterback. I want someone that has traits,
Yep.
and you could try and develop them. So someone that has a good arm, someone that's fast, someone like that, or like
So,
Joe
so the,
Milton.
the the thing with
Um,
Ewers is he has the talent. He just
mhm,
hasn't lived up to it. So
yeah.
that's why I would have liked him, where he has that potential
Hmm.
to be a starting quarterback. He just never lived up to it.
Yeah.
But with a good coaching staff, you might be able to get it out of him. Same with why they went with Bazooka Joe last year, which I liked,
Yeah.
where he has all the talent in the world, at least the arm strength in the world. But like with Ewers specifically, that's why I would have liked him. Where could he end up having the talent to be the top quarterback in the draft? He was when he signed out of high school.
Hmm.
So maybe the coaching staff could get it out of him.
Yeah. And then just going back on that, because I don't think we've talked about the Milton trade yet, have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think we have. So because we've been off for a little bit. That's one thing too, where I don't know how on I think you were against what they got for him too.
Yeah.
I'll just give my kind of thoughts where I feel like and what's come out kind of after this kind of makes not makes sense, but I could see why they did it, but I also don't agree with why they did it.
Yeah.
So from what everyone was saying is that Milton, 26 years old, so he's kind of an older rookie
Yeah.
quarterback going into his second year, and knows that he doesn't have that much time left before he's kind of done. But from being like, you're not going to be a 30-year-old first time starting quarterback. Like you need to do it in the next couple of years. So knowing that he's kind of stuck here behind Drake May, um, and he wants to be a starter somewhere. And again, are going to be a starter in Dallas. Well,
Yeah,
Prescott gets
that
hurt all the
didn't make
time,
much sense
but
with me. Yeah, the destination considering the contract they just gave
yeah.
Dak, unless you think Dak's gonna get hurt. But
Yeah, which happens a lot. So maybe that's
yeah.
why. But then he also should have seen that May was hurt twice this year, this past year, when he was probably concussed both times. He cleared concussion for one of them. Um, but they ended up drafting in the sixth round. He showed that he had maybe something. Again, he's playing against backups in the last game of the year, but you drafted in the sixth round. He has a lot of physical talent. He's extremely fast. He's extremely quick. He's humongous. He's like Cam Newton, like kind of on steroids, basically. He has a better, I think, a stronger arm than Cam had. He's faster than Cam. He may not be a bit.
I don't know if he's faster than Cam.
He looks like he's faster, but he
I
may
don't
not
think he
have the
is.
mental makeup as quarterback as Cam. Um, but that's really all that's been his accuracy and kind of his decision making were big kind of question marks about him going into the draft last year. And he kind of showed in that last game that his accuracy was not bad. The decision making made sense. Again, it's against backups. We don't really know, but he did show something. He didn't show nothing.
Cam
And
Newton's 40 was 4.59. Joe Milton's was 4.63, so similar.
really, I would have thought
Yeah.
Milton's is faster. He just looks
No.
faster. Might just because how big he is and what he runs, it makes it look faster than he actually is. But anyway, he showed that he has traits, and he showed that he wasn't awful when he played. Um, and you got him in the sixth round. You ended up getting a fifth round for him, but then you had to give up a seventh round. So it's basically like you trade him for a sixth again. So you gave him, you basically never drafted him in this instance. You wiped your hands clean, and all because that you didn't like the kind of the QB room that was going to be there, where he wants to start. He thinks he can compete with Drake May, and he thinks that he should have that chance to compete with him, and that it may not be a cohesive quarterback room where Dobbs knows his place, the undrafted quarterback knows his place, and it's Drake's team, and everyone's going to help support him, but then compete at the same time. But you know, you're not
Yeah.
really competing for it. And I can see like an instance where someone's kind of out of line for like a defensive tackle or a cornerback, or maybe not even corner, because corner is, I guess, still corner, like Jack Jones. And you have someone that you need to really just get rid of because it's more of a more of a hassle than it's actually worth because you could find a replacement for him. Quarterback isn't that. There's only there's 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. All 32 of them don't deserve to start. So if you have a chance to get someone that may, and again, I don't know if he's ever going to be a starting quarterback, but he has skills, and if he plays when Drake gets hurt this year, if he gets hurt this year, you may be able to get more for him next year. So
Yeah.
I just don't get why they were willing to take a fifth round pick and not try and put up the headache. You're Mike Vrabel. Like you're one of the most powerful head coaches in the league, someone that has the best kind of locker room sense. And like you didn't want to try and bring that in. I just don't get that.
Yeah, I didn't either. And for that, for a fifth round pick, most fifth round picks don't end up making the team.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I didn't get. I would have liked getting more or hold on to him because he showed to be productive again against backups. Uh, I also understand Vrabel not wanting people in his locker room, especially year one, that might disrupt the culture.
Hmm.
But I would have just gone with it. Maybe even draft someone this year. See, maybe you can trade him in training camp. But
Yeah.
and
Again, like that's
anywho,
the thing I see where it's like quarterback's different than any other position.
yeah,
I think that's one you
yep.
put up with. All right,
I,
undrafted free agents. Which ones do you want to hit on? I'll let you kind of grab
yeah,
that.
so I'll just go through a few again. Uh, most of these players won't end up making the team. As we know, there will probably be some that flash in training camp, preseason that fans will love, and then just won't end up panning out. But just on paper, some that just seem like they might have a shot. Efton Chisholm the third, wide receiver from Eastern Washington, they gave the most guaranteed money to. They gave 234 mil or 234,000 guaranteed base, and then $25,000 signing bonus. He was one of the most sought after undrafted wide receivers. Very shifty, seems like a very typical Josh McDaniels style player. So I think he'll definitely have a shot. Again,
And
it's
a
a crowded
typical
wide.
wide receiver that the fans are gonna love. Where like remember
Yep,
last year there was the guy that I told you to watch out for when I went to camp, and then he flashed in preseason. Number
yeah,
30, I can't remember his name, but one of
yep,
those kind of shifty guys that was undrafted.
exactly. Another one is guard Jack Conley from Boston College, $110,000 guaranteed. And he's someone that at least some of the beat writers, again, they probably don't know much, but he's someone that they think has a shot of, at least from the reports we've heard, he's played very well in OTA or rookie
Rookie
camp,
minicamp.
rookie mini camp, and he might even have a shot of making the team, or maybe even starting at that left guard position where there's City So and Cole Strange. If I had to guess, I'd say no, but he's really stood out during camp so far. And then another one, Lan Larison, running back from UC Davis, 170,000 guaranteed. And then my favorite, I don't know much about him specifically, other than he picked the number 46, but fullback Brock Lamp from Northern Illinois. Just love that they brought in a fullback. That's something that in Josh McDaniel style offense, you like to have just someone that helps clear the lane for the running backs and help with the running game. So really like that they brought him in. There's been a lot of comps, at least on paper. Maybe his number, his size, what he looks like in the uniform to James Devlin, who's one of my all-time favorite Patriots. But those are probably the four that stood out. Then they also signed quarterback Ben Woolridge from Louisiana, who will probably make the team as a third quarterback, just to have an emergency quarterback unless they get someone else. But
They
those are
might
probably
even
the
have him be a what's it called? A practice squad
emergency.
player.
The thing with practice, if you're the number three quarterback, the emergency quarterback, you can't be on the practice squad. Even if you're elevated for the
Mhm.
day, you have to be on the 53.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking he might make the team, or if they don't trust him enough, they might not even care about the emergency quarterback
Hmm.
until they have to.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. It depends on
Yep.
how he is. They may not
Hmm.
even think he's ready enough to be there and not waste the spot there.
Yep.
Um, they also did have a mini camp invitee, Dwayne Martin, fullback, as
Yep.
well from Louisville. Although, as we know, mini camp invitees, I don't know the last time one's actually made a team. But
Malcolm Butler might have been. I could
no, I
be
think he was
wrong.
an undrafted free agent, wasn't he?
I don't fully remember.
All right.
And then they also brought in for minicamp quarterback Jake Wilcox from Brown. Like you said, a lot of these guys don't make it. One that stuck out to me was when Andre Tippett's son was a
Mhm.
minicamp invite, and then he didn't make the team. But it was more of just doing his dad a solid to
Yeah.
give him a chance. But
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. We'll be back. Again, there's not really much going on right now. We'll probably be back at the start of probably training camp, unless something else kind of major breaks within here. And maybe a little bit beforehand, just kind of look through what we're looking at. I'll be going to training camp. Um, a few times at least. Hopefully, probably 3 to 4 times what I'm aiming for, and trying to get some eyes on the ground, and then see what goes on there. So again, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter at Pat's 300 Level Pod, and subscribe and make sure you see any updates that we have. We get some good tweets going along. Again, calling out Mike Florio and PFF each week on how many
PFT.
PFT. Each week on how many negative Brady, Belichick, and Aaron Rodgers stories that he writes for clicks each week. It's a nice little fun thing. It's actually insane how many articles he writes each week and each day to
Yeah.
try and grab
He already
clicks
has two
about their
today.
name.
Today's
Yeah.
Sunday, and he has at least two on or two on Bill and one on Rogers. He probably has more since I checked at like noon.
Yeah. So we'll be holding him honest. Nothing's really going to happen with that because he's scum, but we'll go from there. All right. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, and talk to you guys next time.